Muscle isn't just about appearance or athletic performance. It plays a central role in everyday function. It affects how easily you move, how well you recover from illness or injury, and how resilient your body is under stress. It influences balance, stability, and fatigue, often in subtle ways that don't register until something changes. Because muscle loss happens slowly, it's easy to miss. People don't wake up one day suddenly weak. Instead, small losses accumulate quietly, year after year, until normal tasks feel harder than they used to. That gradual nature is what makes early muscle loss easy to overlook and important to understand. One reason early muscle loss is so easy to miss is that it doesn't announce itself clearly. There's no single moment where people suddenly feel weaker. Instead, small changes show up indirectly. You might notice that you feel more tired after activities that once felt routine. Recovery after illness, travel, or disrupted sleep takes a little longer. Time off from exercise leads to bigger setbacks than it used to. Individually, none of these changes feel dramatic. They're easy to attribute to stress, age, or being busy. But collectively, they reflect a gradual shift in how the body maintains muscle over time. Muscle acts as a buffer. It helps absorb physical stress, stabilize joints, and support movement efficiency. As that buffer slowly thins, the body becomes less tolerant of disruption. Minor setbacks have larger effects, and regaining lost capacity takes more effort than before. This is why many people feel like their bodies become less forgiving over time, even if their habits haven't changed much. Understanding that this process starts earlier helps explain why maintaining muscle isn't about reacting to decline. It's about reducing how much ground is lost during normal life events. So what's actually happening? Muscle tissue is constantly being broken down and rebuilt. This process never stops. When you're younger, the balance usually favors rebuilding. Your body responds efficiently to food, movement, and training signals, and muscle protein synthesis keeps pace with breakdown. Over time, that balance begins to shift. The signals that stimulate muscle maintenance, particularly dietary protein and resistance training, become slightly less effective. The body still responds, but not as robustly as it once did. This phenomenon doesn't suddenly appear in old age. It begins gradually in adulthood, long before most people notice any functional decline. The key point is not that muscle disappears overnight, it's that the margin for error slowly narrows. One way to think about this is in terms of resilience rather than strength. When muscle mass and muscle quality are well maintained, the body has flexibility. It can tolerate interruptions, missed workouts, poor sleep, travel, short periods of illness, without meaningful long-term consequences. As that reserve shrinks, the system becomes less resilient. The same disruptions that once had little effect begin to create noticeable setbacks. Not because anything dramatic has changed, but because there is less excess capacity to absorb stress. This is why muscle loss often feels invisible until it suddenly isn't. People don't notice the gradual decline itself. They notice the moment when something that used to be easy becomes difficult to recover from. A short break from training leads to weeks of rebuilding. An illness lingers longer than expected. Fatigue accumulates instead of resolving. These experiences are not signs of sudden aging. They are signs that the buffer has thinned. Muscle functions as part of a larger system that supports metabolic stability, movement efficiency, and recovery capacity. As that system becomes less robust, small disruptions ripple outward more easily. Recognizing this earlier reframes muscle maintenance as a form of insurance, not against aging itself, but against how vulnerable the body becomes when reserves quietly erode. Periods of inactivity, undereating protein, or prolonged stress that once had little effect begin to matter more. Recovery takes longer. Strength returns more slowly after time off. And small losses are easier to accumulate and harder to reverse. This gradual shift also explains why muscle maintenance becomes more dependent on consistency rather than intensity. Earlier in life, short periods of inactivity or underfueling often have little lasting effect. The body rebounds quickly once normal habits resume. As muscle maintenance efficiency declines, those same interruptions carry more weight. A few weeks of reduced activity, a prolonged illness, extended periods of stress or inadequate nutrition. None of these cause immediate, visible loss, but they subtly change the baseline the body returns to afterward. Over time, the baseline itself drifts downward. This doesn't mean decline is inevitable. It means the system becomes more sensitive to inputs. Muscle is still highly adaptable throughout adulthood, but the signals required to maintain it, particularly adequate protein intake and regular mechanical loading, need to be present more consistently. This helps explain why people who remain active and well-nourished often maintain functional strength far longer than expected, while others experience steady erosion despite feeling generally healthy. The difference isn't effort or motivation. It's how often muscle receives the signals it needs to be preserved. Over time, this explains a common experience. People often feel like they're doing the same things they always did, yet outcomes change. Workouts feel harder. Fatigue shows up sooner. Strength that used to come back easily doesn't quite return the same way. This isn't a sudden failure of willpower or discipline. It's the predictable result of how muscle maintenance changes across adulthood. Understanding this reframes the conversation. Muscle preservation isn't about maximizing performance. It's about maintaining capacity, the ability to handle normal physical demands without excessive effort or risk. It's also important to be clear about who this discussion applies to. People with certain medical conditions, advanced kidney disease, or specific clinical concerns may have different nutritional considerations. Likewise, elite athletes and individuals in structured rehabilitation settings operate under different constraints. This episode is about generally healthy adults navigating normal aging, work, family, and physical activity, not extreme cases or medical edge scenarios. The goal here is explanation, not prescription. This idea connects to a broader pattern we'll keep returning to in this series. Muscle, protein intake, and long-term health are linked in ways that are easy to misunderstand when we focus only on minimum requirements or short-term outcomes. Muscle loss doesn't begin when you're old. It begins when maintenance quietly stops keeping up. And that process starts earlier than most people think. Understanding that timeline is the first step toward making sense of many common changes people experience as they age. This is Protein Truth.